Behind me is the statue of Field Marshal Montgomery, who was in command of all the land forces that came ashore on Normandy on the 6th of June 1944, the biggest sea invasion of all time, which included around 150,000 men. 30,000 approximately came ashore on Sword Beach, which included my father. He told me about his experiences during and up to D-Day, informing me that as a young officer they were briefed to expect 75% casualties, dead or wounded, on these beaches on that first assault, talking about the physical smell of vomit, the metaphorical smell of fear. This is probably about the exact spot where my father came ashore, somewhere around 7:25 a.m. on the morning of 6th of June 1944, from a landing craft that would have come in from behind me. Those boys had to run under enormous fire from machine guns and sniper fire up to the top of the beach. It must have been horrendous. My father made a recording of his experience of that day, and he said, as the landing craft were out there was about 7 miles to go, and as we got nearer it seemed so quiet, and it seemed we were going in on a pleasure
steamer towards a distant shore. Everything was so quiet, and we saw a long line of villas and houses which we'd seen in our briefing photographs. You know, we just looked and I thought, my God, I've seen that before somewhere. And it was, pictures of the coast itself.
Of the coast itself. About 2/3 to high water mark. It's difficult to rather estimate the distance. I was knocked sideways. It
would appear now, an 88mm splinter struck my right arm, and I was moving across the beach at the time. It was then that I well recall a bank of sand and soil with a beach wire in front of me, but fairly sheltered position that we could absorb from. And I applied a field dressing to my wound, and it wasn't painful, and it didn't seem to bleed a lot. And Colonel Burberry was about 2 feet away from me, and the next thing I knew, he rolled over to his side
and was shot in the chest. Snipers were around.
I also remember, these are small points, when we were sort of behind the wire, I was looking down and I saw a procession of ants in the sand, and I thought, goodness me, they're not affected by the war. These silly thoughts you get watching these ants scurry about.
I've just arrived at Hermanville Cemetery, part of the War Graves Commission cemeteries to the fallen, in order to see the grave of Lieutenant Colonel Burberry. The name Colonel Burberry was first conveyed to me by my dad when I was 10 years old, and I've always remembered the name, and so I've come today to pay my respects to him and to lay a poppy cross at the foot of his grave. It's rather a somber occasion and very reflective, but I'm glad I came.